Hello and welcome to Yoga for Runners. Of course, you do not have to be a runner to do this yoga flow. It is for everyone, but I wanted to encourage you, if you are a runner, to take some time to stretch after your run by putting together a Yoga for Runners. I don't know about you, but I'm actually really terrible at stretching after I've been for a run. You would think as a yoga teacher, as somebody who does yoga every day, that stretching after a run would be natural, but it's apparently not. It's something I struggle with. So I wanted to put this together for you today because I have just been on a run and I wanted to encourage us all to stretch after our runs. So let's begin by becoming seated on our mats. You can just take a cross-legged position, or you can sit on your knees, whatever feels best for you. I'm going to take a block today and place it underneath me because I'm on a little bit of a hill. I wanted some shade and the only shaded spots were on little bits of slope. So here we are. So when you've found your position, when you're seated, just lengthen up through that spine, crown of the head pointing up towards the sky or the ceiling, and your hands can just be placed wherever they feel comfortable, either palms down on the knees or palms faced up, whatever feels good for you. And we're just going to take a couple of moments to just tune into the breath. You might close down your eyes to really allow yourself that space to move inwards. And I don't know about you, but I find running to really bring me into the present moment and such a mind game. So it's nice to just come back to the breath and to the body and allow myself this time to be present. So just noticing the breath, how it feels to breathe in and out. And then just noticing the body and how the body feels today. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and find your way back into your space. And we're going to come to square pose. So I'm going to move my block out of the way for this. You can stay seated on it if it feels good for you. And I'm just going to turn this way towards the short side of the mat. You can stay long ways if that feels best for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our left knee and send it out directly from the hip, and our left shin is coming parallel to the short side of the mat or to the long side, whichever way you're facing. And then we're going to take our right ankle and place that on the left knee. Our right knee is over our left ankle. So we're creating a square with our legs. And if your right knee is quite high up, that's okay. You might like to take a block and place it underneath the knee, whatever feels best for you. I should have mentioned it's always good to have blocks with you in your yoga practice, especially in a class like this. So if you don't already have them, feel free to go and grab them. Pause the video. Now finding length up through that spine as we hold here. And then either stay in here if here feels good for you, or if you want to come a little bit deeper today, you might take the elbows to the knee and to the ankle, or you might walk the hands forward even further and fold over the legs. Breathing into those hip spaces here. In particular, you may be feeling it on the right hip. Just noticing. If you're not feeling it there, then maybe adjust and move until you do. And then lifting back up, coming back up through seated. And we're going to switch the legs. So taking that right leg, the shin parallel to the side of the mat, coming directly out from that right hip, left foot going over the right knee, left knee over the right foot. Finding length, sitting up tall here. And remembering that option to take the block in under the knee if the knee is lifted. And then either sitting here or folding forward, either with your elbows to your ankle and your knee, or coming forward over the legs. Now it is important to note that Sometimes our legs feel different. Maybe you can go a little further on one leg than the other. Know that if that's the case, that's totally fine. It's just our bodies, our different sides of our bodies feel a little different sometimes. So there's no right or wrong about where you're coming to. Sometimes some sides are just a little tighter. Then lifting back up, coming up through seated, and we're just going to place the soles of the feet on the mat, taking the hands behind you and just dropping the knees to the right and then to the left, windshield wiping the legs. And then coming back through centre, crossing the legs, and we're just going to fold over, coming into a tabletop position. So you know, tabletop, hands are under the shoulders, knees are under the hips, and we're just going to come through some cat-cows. So as you inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the hips, and as you exhale, round through the spine. Inhale, drop the belly, looking up, and exhale, rounding away. Coming forward and through the gates of the arms on the inhale, and exhale, curving the spine like a cat. Moving with your breath here. And then coming back to a neutral spine, and we're going to tuck those right toes and send them back. So those toes are tucked under on the mat. And we're just going to begin to gently rock forward over the wrists and then rock back, sinking that right heel towards the back of the mat. And you may begin to feel this in the back of that right calf, coming forward on an inhale and exhaling back. Inhale forward, exhaling back. And we're just going to hold here a moment. Notice where you're feeling it. And then on your next inhale, we're going to lift that right leg off the mat. And as we exhale, we're going to bring the knee towards the nose, curling that spine, and then stepping that right foot forward between the hands. You might like to tuck the back toes of that left foot and send that knee back a little further. And coming into a low lunge. Now we are going to take our blocks here underneath our hands, just to lift us up a little taller. Sinking those hips down towards the mat, lengthening through the spine though. Breathing here. And on an exhale, we're going to sink those hips back over that left leg, coming up onto the toes, onto the heel, of that right foot, straightening through that right leg. And again, you might bring the blocks in under the hands, finding length through the spine, and exhale, folding in. Rolling forward, bringing that foot back to the mat, moving those blocks out of the way, and we're going to step that right foot back, coming back through our tabletop position. This time tucking the toes of the left foot, sending the left foot back, keeping those toes tucked under, and as we inhale, we're going to come forward, and exhale, sending that left heel down towards the mat. It doesn't obviously have to touch the mat, it's just taking that action of sending it towards the mat. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale back, inhale forward, and exhale back. And we're just going to hold here, feeling into it, noticing where the sensations are arising for you. Breathing into that left leg. And then lifting that left leg up in line with the hips. And as you exhale, bending at the knee, bringing the knee towards the nose, and stepping that foot forward. Again, you might tuck the toes of that right foot, stepping that right knee back slightly, and then finding your blocks and bringing them in underneath the hands to lengthen up through the spine. Of course, you don't have to use the blocks here. but it's a good option to just lift us up a little higher. And if you don't have blocks, like something like a book would be fine too. From here, we're going to sink the hips back over that right knee, beginning to lift up onto the heel of that left foot, straightening through that left leg. It doesn't have to be directly straight. You might have a little bend like I do. And then finding length through the spine and folding over that leg. Breathe in here. It's funny, we often have poses that we love and poses that we love to hate in yoga. This is one that I love to hate. I hate this pose. Only because I feel it a lot. But that's a good thing. Sometimes feeling is a good thing. Rolling forward, coming back onto the foot, and then moving those blocks out the way and stepping back, coming through your tabletop position. Walking the hands forward a handprint, tucking those toes and lifting the hips up towards the sky. Beginning to walk through the legs, bending one knee and the other, walking your dog a little bit. And then really bending into the knees, finding length through the spine, and then beginning to lengthen through the legs. Breathing in your down dog, knowing that this pose or child's pose is always an option to come to in any of our practices at any point in time. On your next inhale, bend the knees, look between the hands and step forward. Find length through the spine and a half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down into the feet, reaching those arms up overhead, and exhale, bringing the hands down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching up, and exhale, fold forward over the legs. Find length on a half lift, then plant the hands and step the right foot back. Now keeping that right knee off the mat, we're coming into a higher lunge here. So coming light on the fingertips, lifting up through the chest. And this time we're going to lift the arms and the body up on an inhale. Breathing here. Sinking into that lunge. Can you relax the shoulders down away from the ears a little bit more? Then from here, we're going to drop that heel of that back foot. So our toes are coming up towards the right corner of the mat, coming through warrior one. So that heel is just dropped down. Our hips are in line with the front of our mat. Now, if you are feeling this a little bit in the back of the leg and it's feeling like too much, you can just come back through that high lunge, whatever feels best for you. And then sweeping the hands behind the back, interlacing the fingers so you can open through the chest a little bit more. And then on your exhale, folding forward over that left leg, bringing the left shoulder to the inner left knee. An inhale lifts you up through center, unclasping the hands, reaching the arms up overhead, and exhale, taking the hands down to the mat, coming up onto those back toes, and then grounding down through that right hand, opening up to the left side of the mat. Left hand comes down to the mat, tucking the toes, stepping the left foot back, coming through your plank pose. So always an option to take the knees down in plank or come through your full plank. Now everybody drop the knees down and we're going to come through a half chaturanga. So bringing the chest forward through the gates of the arms, keeping those elbows over the wrists, lowering down halfway and then fully down to the mat. As we inhale, lifting the chest up in a baby cobra. So we're lifting up through the chest. We're not putting any pressure into our hands. In fact, you should be able to lift the hands off the mat and still keep that height. Now this time, grounding down into the hands and lifting up a little higher for a fuller cobra. Breathing here, then tucking those back toes and lifting up into your down dog. Inhale, lifts the right leg. Exhale, step it between the hands. Coming into that higher lunge on the other side. So open through that chest a little bit. Now on your next inhale, lifting up, coming into a high lunge. Drop those shoulders away from the ears, breathing here. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling this in my legs. But it's a good feeling. Now dropping that heel of that back foot for your warrior one. So keeping those hips in line with that short side of the mat. Breathing here. And remembering that that high lunge is always an option if this doesn't feel right for you. Then sweeping the hands back behind you, clasping the hands with the other pinky on the bottom. Open through the chest and exhale, taking that right shoulder to the inner right knee. Inhale lifts you up. Reaching the arms overhead and then circle the hands down to the mat. Coming up onto the toes of that back foot, grounding down through the left hand and opening up to the right side this time. Bringing the right hand down, stepping that back foot forward, come through your half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down into the feet, reaching those arms up overhead, and exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Find length and a half lift. Then plant the hands and step the left foot back. Come through that high lunge, lifting up, breathing here. Dropping that back heel for warrior one. Sweep the hands down behind you, clasping the fingertips open through the chest, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, coming up through center. This time we're going to add on. So coming back onto the toes of that back foot for your high lunge. Bringing the palms down together in front of the heart. And we're going to ground down into that right foot and lift up to come into warrior three. So finding your balance, fixing your gaze, folding forward. Now taking the hands to the mat, folding over that right leg for standing splits. And you might take your right hand around that right leg. You can take the left as well if that feels good for you, but that can be quite the challenge sometimes. And then releasing that right hand, bending into that right leg and taking the left knee just behind that right ankle and sinking the hips back in between the legs. So you may need to adjust a little bit to sink your hips down between the legs. If this is feeling a little bit tight today, you might extend that left leg out. Otherwise, keeping it in line next to the right hip. Finding length through the spine here. And we're going to take our left hand up beside our left ear, and we're going to exhale, turn towards the right side of the mat, taking the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Coming into a twist. Breathing here. Then an inhale brings you back through center. And we're going to extend those feet out in front of us, lengthening up tall through the spine, and then lifting one foot and then the other for boat pose. Option to stay here with the hands behind the legs, or option to extend the arms forward. Crossing the right leg over the left and folding forward, coming through tabletop. Stepping the feet back for your plank pose. Then coming through your chaturanga, half chaturanga or full chaturanga, into your cobra. And then exhale back to down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step it between the hands. Coming into that high lunge. Breathing here. Then dropping that back heel for your warrior one. Exhale, sweeps the hands down behind the back, taking that other interlace. Open through the chest and exhale, fold forward. Breathing here. Then lifting up on an inhale, coming up to those back toes, high lunge, to bring the hands together in front of the heart, grounding down into that left foot and stepping forward to find your warrior three. Fix your gaze. And if you fall out of it, just come back into it. Then taking the hands down to the mat and taking that left hand, and you might clasp it around that left ankle. You can take your right hand too, but up to you. Today my balance is not feeling very great, so I'm not even going to attempt it. And releasing the left hand, and we're going to bend into that left knee, taking that right knee behind the left ankle and sinking the hips down between the legs. Again, adjusting the feet and the legs so that you can lengthen up tall through the spine. Taking that right arm beside the right ear and crossing it over that left knee to come in through your twist. And then coming back through center on an inhale, uncrossing the legs, bringing one foot down to the mat and then the other, lengthening up tall through the spine, and begin to lean back so you can lift one foot and then the other for boat pose. Option to hold here, or option to extend the arms alongside the legs. Open through that chest a little bit more, breathing here. And then releasing the feet down to the mat, and we're going to lay down on our backs. We're going to take that right foot and cross it just over that left knee, and then taking the hands and bringing the left hand to the outside of the left leg, the right hand through the legs, and clasping the hands behind that left knee. Breathing here. And if you'd like a little bit more today, you might begin to straighten through that left leg and take the hands around the left calf. Then releasing the feet down, uncrossing that right foot, taking the left foot and crossing it just past the right knee. Hands come through the gates of the legs. Breathing here. And then option to stay here, or option to extend that right leg and take the hands around the calf. And releasing the hands, releasing the feet, and bringing the feet down to the mat. Tilting those hips up slightly towards the sky so that you can lengthen those legs out long. Palms down, come down to the ground beside you, palms faced up, and just letting go and relaxing in your Shavasana. Letting go of the breath, letting go of the movements, and just simply being here now. Beginning to lengthen the inhales and the exhales. Taking some movements through the fingers and the toes. Making that movement bigger through the wrists and the ankles. Then stretching the arms overhead, taking a full body stretch. Before bending the knees and rolling to the right side. Pausing here for a moment, just allowing yourself some space to find some gratitude for something that's happened today. Maybe it's as simple as taking this time for you. And then when you're ready, coming up to sit. Thank you so much for joining me today in this yoga for runners. I hope that you were able to stretch out your legs a little bit, that they're feeling a little better after your run, and I hope you really enjoyed this flow. I really appreciate you guys being here, and if you did like this flow, I would really appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe. If you like the channel, if you like the videos, then subscribe to the channel, because every subscription, every like, it all helps. It also helps me to know the videos that you guys like and enjoy so that I can make more of those. And yeah, hit the notification bell to see when videos drop. I have decided to maybe only put a video up once a month because I am going back to work full time, but I still want to be here for you guys. I still want to be providing you with videos. So yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's all bring our hands together in front of the heart. Taking an inhale and exhale, releasing. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.